As a cue to what will be the next Battle Wagon surprise, this is a heap of things I will now be installing. Here's another hint. This is a switch, which I hate the look of these push button switches. I absolutely despise them, but I'm too lazy to rewire a switch that already has a setup harness right now. So I'm gonna deal with it, whatever. Relay, fuse, it's all here. Perfect. First thing you gotta do is climb uncomfortably far up here and say, okay, yeah, there's some grommets. I'm gonna shove a wire through them. But to make sure that's even possible, what I'm worried about is, am I really gonna be able to fit something this big through, you know, one of these already open grommet holes? What I'm gonna do is go to the engine side and see where these are gonna be running as far as lengths and make sure I can reach the hole that I see over there. So I see it from over here. Ooh, that's a tough one. We are officially getting to the point that I'm not finding an easy way to do this. So what I might have to do is pull a fender and run it around behind that way, which is not my preferred method, but it looks a lot cleaner from a standpoint of both under the engine bay and coming through on the other side. And then I've got maybe a couple more wires I want to run at the same time, just so if I do anything else in the future, I don't have to do it again. Having a little difficulty poking the wires through, so what I've resorted to is I've used what is either an old abortion tool from the south, also doubles as a wire running tool if you straighten it out a bit. Straighten out an old hanger, and then what you can do is poke this, because it's a little more structure to it. You can poke it through a grommet hole or run it around some bends much easier. Loop the end so that it closes around the wire, then you can just pull it through. I'm gonna try that now. I'm not really having a whole lot of luck of just poking the wire through because it's not strong enough. And besides, who uses metal hangers nowadays, right? Popped off this little footrest guard here, that way I can try to get behind better and just see what's going on. Really trying to not pull off the fender, but I might need to if I have to drill through to get a new wire hole run. I was able to pop out the grommet here that goes to the door controls. I'm going to run it through there and then just seal it back in. The wires aren't very thick that I'm running. This is the one that I'll be running into the cabin, so as you can tell, it's not excessively thick even with the coating on it, and I gotta have a hole big enough to get this connector through. I am sweating my ass off because it is a warm, humid day here. My current plan to run this, there's not a good place to go into the fender wall unless I want to go down there and or pull the fuse box. That's a slightly ambitious location, I'll say. So what I might do is if I can't get that to route well, I'm just gonna go running it back here along the fender line and then pop in right there before the back of the car. And that actually might be a little bit easier to do, but again, it's gonna be less clean. You're gonna have obvious wires right here, and that's gonna be where the rain drains out, so I'm not really positive I want to do that because the other one's got to be threaded from there back, otherwise I got to fit all the relay stuff through. What I'm going to do now is hook the other end of the connector here, pull it to here, that way I can just plug it and pull it all through as one assembly. Do that, I'm wrapping it around on this end and then seeing if I can get it through. When you're wrapping it, try to have it so nothing faces the direction that you're pulling towards, or else something like this will snag and you're going to have a rough time getting that. Now we're running it from the other side, trying to get this pushed all the way through from the underside, and if we can't do that, we're going to the backup plan of that corner. To do it, I'm going to have to run this through and hope it makes it all the way, then loop it and pull it. As I've been running it, instead it poked out here of the fender liner, so what I'll do is just try to peel this back, run it through from there. That should be enough for me to zip it through all the way. I got it to the point that the wire is through to there, but then what I failed to realize is when it first poked out of the fender liner, it's because it went through this bolt hole. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah. So that sucks. What I'm gonna probably do now to remedy that is unthread it and rethread it, and I'll cry slowly, and that'll be that. When I first tried rerunning it, what happened is I got it most of the way through for the hole there, and then it fell through the backside, so I had to rerun it again. And now I officially have it all the way through. That was a bitch of a task. What I'll do now is I'll wrap this end over here, pull that through, struggle with it a bit more, and then leave this all up ready to be installed for when I actually put the next phase of Project Battle Wagon together. If you're thinking about running anything at any point in the future, it's a good idea to tie an extra wire to it. That way, even if you don't run the actual coat hanger again, what you can do is just put the wire on the one you're actually trying to run and pull it through. It's also not a bad idea to tape up the top of the wire that you're pulling through. That way you know it won't snag on anything. And simple as that, right? That only took us how many tries to pull through, but it's finally over here, which is good. I got the other connector here. I just got to route the correct side of the grommet that I want, and then I can organize the wires a little bit better. As far as this side, this is going to go to what we're powering, and I just got to find a place to store the relays and put those where I want over here, so that's at least tidy enough. Just because I know this is going to be in the way if I don't install everything right away, I hook the relay up to the bolt coming off of the fuse box. That way I can just turn it out of the way and still get to the battery. Eventually it's going to be in the way if I have to open this. It might be feasible, but I can just leave it loose enough that I can rotate it and it's not a big deal. While this is all still apart, get this wired and run, and then get it out of the way so I can get the car back together and actually do normal people stuff with my weekend, such as I'm actually not sure what I'm doing. I just said that to pretend I have friends. What I did is tape the green wire up in the engine bay side of things. That way I know it's not flopping around and causing a problem. And I also know that way that it won't get pulled through and I won't have to rerun these wires again, which I hate doing, in case you haven't noticed. Now, you don't want to pull these things all the way tight. You want to have a little bit of slack. That way, if for any reason they get caught or they're up against something, they're not going to rub right through the wire over time and create an electrical issue for you. So because I'm not running anything else for today and this is not going to be in use anytime soon, I'm just going to tape this up, probably zip tie it and tuck it up here, probably run it into this fuse box just for safekeeping. And then that way I'll have access to it when I formally run the wires for my next project. There you go, now they're out of the way for now and it's not going to block my clutch or any of my pedals. Everything's back together and I can go pretend I'm a normal human for a few hours. What I did while I was up here is I taped the ever-loving hell out of this and wrapped it around something so I know the green wire wouldn't fall through, and then that way I wouldn't have to rerun with the coat hanger again, because that's a pain. Similarly, I stuck the relay against the fuse box bolt just because it's got the little bracket there. Currently I've got it bent out of the way of the battery, but if it gets in the way of this, I'm probably just going to loosen it enough that I can freely rotate it or find a new bolt. There's not a whole lot of good ones in the area though, so that's kind of my concern with this. In the meantime, I'll wrap these with electrical tape and just stick them out of the way for now. That way they'll be all ready to go when I work on the next Battle Wagon project that this is all powering. Thank you for watching. That is how you use a Southern abortion tool to run wires in your car and ruin your fender liner all in the same process. You know, the whole time I was filming this, I forgot the flashlight app was on my phone because it was sitting in my pocket the whole time. So now my phone's just about dead. That's a plus. Also, I decided I'm too lazy to tuck these all properly and tie them up because I'm going to be working on it relatively soon. So a little bit of electrical tape and we're just gonna... Yeah, that looks like a good wire holder. Yeah, let's just... All right, good enough.